So this morning, Robert Jenrick went on to Sky News and demanded an apology from a man who deleted a post. Then, 5 minutes later, in exactly the same interview, he refused to apologise for a post he deleted. Same behaviour, same remedy, just completely opposite verdicts. And the 5 minutes between those two answers is probably the most honest thing Reform have broadcast all year, because it shows you exactly how their principles work and, more importantly, which direction they point. So I'm going to show you both halves because he really did do this back to back. So here he is, Jenrick, Reform's Treasury spokesperson, their Chancellor in waiting, so to speak, was on Sophie Ridge, and the interview opens on the Zack Polanski story. Reform have reported the Green Party leader to the police over a repost of a guillotine image aimed at Nigel Farage.
So Reform UK has reported Zack Polanski, the leader of the Green Party, to the police. Can you just explain why?
Well, Zack Polanski reposted or collaborated on a post which I think was pretty disgusting, to be honest. Sick, really.
Now, I want to be honest with you about where I personally stand because it kind of matters for everything that follows, really. That post shouldn't have been shared. Polanski was right to take it down the moment it was flagged, and given the context, a colleague of theirs was murdered weeks ago, and there's, live criminal proceedings over threats against Farage. Now, I'm not going to sit here and pretend that Reform have no grievance. I mean, they obviously do. If the police want to assess whether it crossed into incitement, well, that's up to the police. My problem starts with what Jenrick does next. Ridge reads him the Green Party's statement.
I just want to read the statement from the Green Party. So what they say is, after attending a public event, Zack accepted a request to collaborate on a post with several images. Once this image was brought to his attention, he immediately unshared the post. He unequivocally does not support this type of dangerous message. So they're effectively saying that it was an error, and as soon as he realised it, he unshared it.
And Jenrick's response to that is to reach this very specific complaint.
Well, fine. He hasn't apologised, by the way, I note from that statement.
Now, just that right there, just hold on to that, because deleting the post isn't enough for Robert Jenrick. He wants an apology. He notes its absence. Now, just remember that point, because it's going to age about, well, very, very quickly, very, very badly. But just before I get to that point, here's the framing that wraps all around this.
But look, we in Reform believe in free speech. And free speech involves the right to offend people, to say rude, even nasty things about people.
The party of right to offend, who went to the police. Now, he would say that the line is incitement, and fair enough, but Reform's sense of where that line sits has a remarkable habit of moving depending on who's speaking. I mean, at their own party conference in Birmingham, they put up Lucy Connolly on, the main stage, the woman convicted of stirring up racial hatred, sentenced to 31 months, whose appeal was thrown out by the Court of Appeal as nothing close to excessive. They introduced her as Britain's favourite political prisoner. Standing ovation. Farage even hugged her on stage. So speech aimed at Reform gets a police report, and criminality-convicted speech from someone on their side gets a spotlight, a slogan, and a bit of a cuddle. Which brings us to about 6 days ago, and the probably part of the interview that Jenrick was hoping wouldn't come up. Last Tuesday, Jenrick shared an audio clip of Jo White, a Labour MP, the new immigration minister, claiming that she had said, quote, "I don't care if we stop the boats." His caption to that was, "Meet the new immigration minister. Burnham clearly doesn't give a stuff about stopping the boats. We need a general election." Reform's official party account pushed out the graphic making the same claim. There's just one small problem. White published the full recording, and what she actually said was, "My focus is to make sure that we stop those boats. I don't care who will stop the boats. My number one priority is to stop those boats." Taking away a couple of words and the meaning is completely reversed, and she called it a deliberate and fraudulent misquote and demanded a withdrawal and apology. Jenrick deleted his post. The party deleted theirs, and Reform's explanation for how a Chancellor in waiting ended up amplifying a clip that flipped the minister's words, well, a spokesman blamed Guido Fawkes, the trusted Guido Fawkes. We've always trusted Guido Fawkes as a source of information, but perhaps this occasion they didn't get the full picture. The full picture being the rest of the sentence. So Ridge asked the obvious question and watched him trying to find an exit.
And it was very misleading, right? So in the audio recording, it said she was heard saying, "I don't care if we stop the boats." What she actually said was, "I don't care who will stop the boats and that will be her number one priority. Will you apologise to Joe White for sharing that post?
Well, we don't know for certain is the honest answer. What happened here was I was given a recording from a local resident. Joe and I are neighbouring constituency MPs from a meeting that she'd held about illegal migration. And the recording that I received from a resident suggested one thing. Joe then subsequently posted another recording, which is clearer.
He doesn't know for certain. And then he said it was handed to the recording by a local resident, which is a lovely bit of folklore, given his own press office spent last week blaming Guido Fawkes for it. 2 origin stories for 1 clip. Now, to her credit, she doesn't actually let it go.
Which suggests,
and also this was looked into by a journalist,
else.
Noah Hoffman, at the time as well. She said she looked into it and she said that it is misleading.
Well, I don't know. I don't know about that. All I can say is that I saw
if you
that.
don't know, you shouldn't. Comment.
Well, I don't know. I know. I don't.
If
I don't
you're not
know.
sure, you shouldn't.
Well, I don't know what.
Should
No,
you?
I don't know what you're referring to about the journalist. I do know that I've seen the 2 recordings. They seem to tell slightly different stories.
See, they're slightly different stories, aren't they? I don't care if we stop the boats, and my number 1 priority is to stop those boats. They're slightly different in the way that arson is slightly different from a housewarming.
And so what I chose to do is to give Joe the benefit of the doubt, and I deleted the post. That, I think, is what a responsible person does in those situations.
And there it is. Deletion, he reckons, is what a responsible person does. Full stop. End of story. Sophie Ridge asked him to say sorry for the 3rd time, and this point he says...
The broader point I was actually making...
You apologise for it? You say sorry?
Well, I don't...
Quite, if she said, if
I don't think I
saying...
did anything wrong. I posted something. She then said that she said something different. I gave her the benefit of the doubt, and I quickly deleted. That is the right way to respond to situations like this.
So nothing to apologise to?
No.
So there we have it. Let's put those 2 halves of the interview side by side. Zack Polanski shares something bad by mistake, deletes it immediately, and Jenrick's verdict is a police report, and that just deleting it and without apologising doesn't cut it. Robert Jenrick shares a clip that reversed the minister's words, deleted it a day later once the full audio surfaces, and his verdict on himself is that deletion is the gold standard of responsible behaviour, and there's nothing else to see here, and nothing else to apologise for.
It was an error, and as soon as he realised it, he unshared it.
Well, fine. He hasn't apologised, by the way, I note from that statement. And so what I chose to do is to give Joe the benefit of the doubt, and I deleted the post. That, I think, is what a responsible person does in those situations. I did anything wrong. I posted something. She then said that she said something different. I gave her the benefit of the doubt, and I quickly deleted. That is the right way to respond to situations like this.
So nothing to apologise to?
No.
Jenrick set the bar in the first minute of the interview and then limboed under it by minute 7. Now, I obviously watch these things so you don't have to, and I always try and pick out the most interesting parts. And if that's what you like, and if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe, hit that like button. And if you can, then the memberships are open if you're able to support the channel that way as well. Now, Jenrick's flexibility runs right through this morning, because over on Talk TV, he was condemning the toxicity of political rhetoric while calling the Greens an appalling rag-of-tag bunch of misfits, and Polanski a thoroughly bad person, and accusing of MPs of inciting violence over a tweet criticising reform. Every definition he owns, incitement, offence, responsibility, apology, stretches when it's pointed at his opponents and then shrinks to nothing the moment it swings back to him. Jenrick told Sophie Ridge that when you get something wrong, deleting it is what a responsible person does. Okay, fine, let's hold him to that. The next time Reform demand an apology from someone, and they will, probably by the weekend, remember the morning their Chancellor-in-Waiting was asked 3 times to say one word and decided apologies were beneath him. He set the price of his own outrage this morning, and he set that at 0. And this isn't even Jenrick's first same-day fact-check disaster. The last one involved a tax on the caravan holidays that turned out not to exist. And you can watch that one fall apart right here on screen now. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit that like button, and I'll see you next time.